Hey there. Happy Tuesday and happy Cinco de Mayo. Summer here, just hanging out in a plank because that is the theme for today's Yoga Basics class. We are going to break down the plank. It's such a staple in all yoga classes that I was like, we really need to kind of break this down, show you lots of different variations of it and ways that you can really successfully do a plank. So we're going to explore planks today. But don't worry, you're not going to plank for 30 minutes. Like, don't panic. Before we do that, if it's the first time you've been here on the GSO Yoga, Greensboro Downtown Yoga page and channel, please hit the subscribe button below. I said GSO Yoga because that is our Instagram handle, and I was just posting something on Instagram, and so that was where my brain went. Greensboro Downtown Yoga. I'm Summer, and I am thrilled to take you through a day where I am also celebrating Stranger Things. We are going to start on your mat in a child's pose position. If this is your first time ever doing yoga, yay, welcome. Child's pose has your knees wide. Your toes are together. Your arms reach forward. Allow your arms to just rest on the mat. Your head rests on the mat. Let your head shift side to side. There's so much to think about in yoga. And when we're first learning and getting started, it can become very overwhelming. There's everything from what your body is doing, to how your breath is connecting with movement, to how your mind is focusing. And let's be real, like that's tough to do. So today, I'm going to try to encourage you to connect your breath to movement. But if you inhale and I say exhale, it's not the end of the world. Stay in child's pose, just settle. Actively push your hands into the mat so that your fingers lift off the mat and that your palms into the mat. It's like you're trying to push away. You might feel this little shift of your hips back and an activation into your upper back. That's going to become important today. Now lower all 10 fingers to the mat and dome them to where you feel the lift of your palm off the mat. Feel the difference. Feel where you're pressed into the mat and your hips sink back versus fingers into the shoulders. Your elbows come to the mat. And just little by little, press yourself to a seated position. Sitting tall. Reach your arms forward. Palms come forward. So now, I'm going to do this facing you. You've got these arms shoulder distance apart, right? You're going to rotate your hands so it's like your palms are on the floor. Now push your palms away from you. See how when I did that, I get this little engagement in my upper back. Now pull your shoulder blades together. See that difference? Little round, little squeeze. Both at different times have different purposes. You're going to hear me say, and you'll hear yoga instructors and fitness people say, push your palms into the mat, puff up your upper back. This puffed up upper back is actually a little bit stronger of a place for our plank. Take your palms, open them out to the side. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and palms come together. Inhale as you open your arms. Exhale as they squeeze back together. We are finding this engagement right between our shoulder blades, building strength into those muscles. I said a big motorcycle drive by. Building strength into those muscles that allow our planks to get stronger. Let's do one more. Hold, come down. Rotate, look over one shoulder. Come back to center. Just rotate, look over the other shoulder. Into center. Roll down onto your back. Lift your legs off the ground. This is going to seem really strange, but hopefully after doing it a couple times, you'll see and start to make the connection in with the plank. So you're going to take your palms, I was not on that, make sure. All right, you're going to have your legs lifted right there. Palms into your thighs. Now push your palms into your thighs and your thighs into your palms. So it's this oppositional push, right? If you notice, you don't see anything moving, right? But as I do this, my lower back connects to the ground. My abdominals brace. This is the feel you should have in a plank in your abdominal muscles. Release your hands, hug your knees to your chest. Do that again. Press your palms into the thighs, thighs into the palms. Now, squeeze. I want you to find like you're taking a lid off a jar and you start to rotate your hands, but you still have to be pressed into the thighs, right? So I'm right here. I can't take my hands off my legs because then I don't have that pressure anymore, right? But I'm pushed in and I just use that palm into my thigh just like we did a moment ago in that child's pose to engage. Release, hug knees in. It's such a small thing, but makes the world of difference in your plank. When you get this oppositional push, you really get the deep abdominals and the entire core region to engage. Let's do it one more time. Palms on thighs. Push your knees or your thighs into your palms. Rotate the jar. Do you feel how when you rotate that jar, your shoulder blades have to start engaging? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Make sure you breathe. Release. All right. Feet come to the floor. Hands by your side. Lift your hips up to the sky. You've got this line from your knees down to your shoulders. In this, hips are lifted, your butt is squeezing. So squeeze your glutes really tight. If you want to actually feel them squeezing, do it. No judgment, you're at home. Lower yourself down. Let's do it one more time. Lift your hips up. Squeeze into the glutes. Keep that lift. Push your feet into the ground now. Think about how much you can push your feet down while your hips lift up. Lower down. We'll do that one more time. This time I want you to think with your feet, you try to, actually go ahead and do it right now. Push your feet into the mat and try to rotate them. Notice what your knees and your glutes do, right? They kind of turn out a little bit. Now lift your hips, keep that same press, but force your knees to be in line with the center of your foot. Do you feel even more glute engagement? Yes, hopefully. This is part of your plank. No, most of the time we don't think anything about waist down in planks. Lower yourself down. Let's roll up to seated. Kind of get there however feels good for you. And we're going to come over onto all fours. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Round and look into your belly button. Arch and look to the sky. Push your palms into the mat as you round your belly. And then squeeze your shoulder blades together as you look to the sky. Come back to neutral. Okay, so planks. Interesting little tidbit about them. Oftentimes we think of planks on the hands being harder than planks on the forearms, and it's just a different experience. Planks on the hands actually allow us to use our shoulders more, where planks on the forearms are fully connected, deep abdominal work. So I'm going to start showing some variations on the hands, and in reality that's more what we do in yoga since we use it as a transitional movement a lot of times. But hands on the ground. Push into the ground. Now notice I'm still in that all fours position, right? Right here can be a great place for us to be in that start. If you ever are in a class and you're like, I just can't do a plank, this is where you go. But let's walk our hands forward and drop our hips down. Okay? So we find this long line from our head to our hips. It's that reverse of where we just were in the bridge, correct? Stay right there. There's a reason my shirt was tied. So as you hold this plank, you push your hands into the mat even deeper. You're really trying to get that deep engagement into the middle of your body. Now big deep inhale. Exhale, sit back to child's pose. Inhale, come up to all fours. Notice I'm going to take you through a little flow. Cat. Exhale, cow. Inhale, neutral. Walk your hands to plank. Notice it's about a hand's distance in front of you, right? Push your palms into the mat. Rotate that jar. Right? Just like you were doing on your thighs a moment ago. Push. Inhale. Sit back. Let's do that one more time. Flow up to cat. And cow. Neutral. And plank. Push in. Here's that puff up of your upper back, right? I rotate my palms into the mat and I feel that deep engagement of my upper back. Big deep inhale. Exhale, child's pose. Come to all fours and then just kind of find your way to get to the front of the mat to a standing position. Doesn't need to be anything fancy right now. Okay, feet under hips. We have practiced, there's two videos that break down sun salutation A and B. If you haven't done them, please do. But right here, big deep inhale, pull the abdominals in. Exhale, forward fold. Your hands come through the middle of your chest. You fold over your legs. Inhale, hands to shins. Find that long, flat, neutral spine. Exhale, your hands come to the floor. Step back to plank. Now right here, we're gonna find a variation on plank. This one, you lower your shoulder blades down and push up. Notice it's just my upper back moving, right? This is what we call a scap retraction push-up. Scapular is there's two big winged bones next to each other. Retraction means it's coming in towards each other. Push-up. This is a really great way to teach ourselves chaturanga so that we take that pressure out of our shoulders until we gain strength. So one more. Hold, sit back to child's pose. Come forward, walk your feet in, find your way to forward fold at the front of the mat. Roll up one vertebrae at a time. Big, deep inhale. Forward fold, hands come into the middle of your chest. You have this long, neutral spine. Fold over your legs. Halfway lift, press your hands into your shins or maybe your thighs to find that long spine. Forward fold, step back to plank. Now lower your chest, so find plank, right? Lower your chest all the way down to the mat. In yoga, that's done with our elbows beside our body. We're all the way down on our mat. It's called chaturanga. Bring your elbows under your shoulders. There's a lot of really cool ways that we could use a block to assist with this. I just imagined you didn't have a block at home. So we have our elbows under our shoulders, our forearms onto the mat, and our palms on the mat. Your chest is lifted. Now get that same pull back. See that kind of pull with my palms and my elbows as I lift my chest. Lower your chest. Now, keep your arms exactly where you are. Tuck your toes under and lift onto your knees. Plank position on your knees, on your forearms. This is oftentimes considered the easiest plank you hear people say. And again, the truth is what we have learned is when we get that good activation with our hands, our back, our abs, our legs, this is actually a little bit harder. So push your palms into the mat. Find that rotation of the jar and then pull your palms back. Do you feel your upper back engaged? Now lift your knees off the ground. Push your heels to the back of the room. Hold that engagement. Abs are pulled in super tight as you squeeze your butt. Inhale, lower your knees, sit back. It's probably been 5 years at this point. I went to a conference that totally opened my eyes to planks. It was this, he made this statement. He said, a true plank should only be able to be held for 20 to 30 seconds. Because after that, you're starting to lose the engagement of your abdominals and use more shoulders, back, legs. He's the one who taught me all these kind of things, and it was American College of Sports Medicine, and it was a very research-based session. I don't want to go into all the research that he talked about, but it was really fascinating to think that so often we're like, oh, look, you can hold a plank, or you've got people who are here, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I could do this all day. Well, being able to do it all day doesn't mean that it's effective. Let's do another flow. Let's find our way back to the front of the mat. Big deep inhale, lift your arms high to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. So sun salutation. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back to plank. Hold your plank. Now lower all the way down, chaturanga. Elbows come under, lift for Sphinx. And we're going to use this Sphinx to transition to plank, because if you think about it, that's actually the exact position. That's why I like using it. Palms press in, rotate, tuck your toes, lift your knees. Now, if you find that you're starting to let your hips lift into the sky, check your arms. Are your palms pressed into the ground? Are your elbows pulled back? Like, I didn't do that. Like, I can't have my hips lifted if my elbows are pulled back, if my heels are pushed back. If we really focus on those technique pointers and engaging, now maybe we're on the knees and that's fine. But as soon as we start to lift, it tells me we've let go of some of that engagement. We're just kind of like, oh, I'm hanging out. Lower your knees, sit back to child's pose. So what are the ways that we do planks a lot in yoga classes? We're going to do that now. So let's come back to the front of the mat. All right, it's in a vinyasa class, right? Big deep inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway rise. Exhale, step back to plank. And typically I'm telling you to step back to right here. Push your palms into the mat. Then we lower to chaturanga. Well, what happens if we lose the engagement in the upper back, or we start to dump into our shoulders? Then we end up with people with shoulder impingement issues. So that's why if you find that pushing into the mat and engaging the upper back is enough, don't do chaturanga. But chaturanga is elbows into the side of our body. Shoulders are pushed back. Again, there's a cool thing you can do with a block here, and we lower down. Then we come into an upward dog, which has our thighs lift off the ground. Tuck our toes, downward dog. Right? If you think about it, a downward dog is in a lot of ways just a plank. We push our palms into the mat. We push our heels down and back. We push in and get that engagement in our upper back. The only difference, our hips are to the sky. Inhale, forward to plank. That's why I love this transition right here. Inhale, forward to plank. Upper back engaged. Exhale, back to downward dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Bend your knees. Come down. Lift your chest for a cobra Sphinx. We're going to look at a side plank. It's not done quite as often, but I really like them. It's more done in Pilates often, but depends on the flow. Anyway, your hand is under your shoulder. Typically, we want to stay with those fingers pointed out, but you kind of have to adjust it based on where your shoulder is comfortable. We're going to start with your knee on the bottom tucked. We lift our hip. So we have this lift out of our side body. Our top arm lifts. Push your palm into the mat. Same thing. Rotate the palm on the ground. We rotate and lift that chest. Now we don't have the puffed up upper back. Now we've got that engagement between our shoulder blades. This bottom knee is on the floor in a way that it's kind of a kickstand, we call it. Lower your leg or your arm. Let's try the other side. Now you might start to feel your wrist, and that's a really common issue with planks. And I'm going to do something at the very end for that. So just know that's coming. So again, you find your placement of your hand. Knee is under. Top leg is lifted as you come out. So the wrist and shoulder stacked is important because that keeps that alignment and proper engagement through your body. Side planks are about your obliques, those muscles on the side of your body. Let's come down. Shake your wrist. We're going to do one more on each side. Now, alternatively, forearms. We're going to do a forearm one on this side. So let's come onto your forearm. Best thing I always say to do is knuckle this hand, and your shoulder and elbow are in line. Bottom knee still bent. Lift up. Now, sometimes you'll hear say lift the top leg, right? To get that stabilization element. Don't worry about that today. Right now, I want you to think about your head alignment, your neck alignment. So if you're in a yoga class for the first time and they're doing planks and it's really big, just come here. Come down and let's switch sides. That's, I think, the challenge of yoga is oftentimes we teach mixed level classes. And we get people who've been doing yoga for years, and we get people who've never done yoga before. And we teach to all those levels, but when it might be one new person and 15 new or regulars, it can be a bit of a challenge for those of us, for those of you who are new to yoga, to really understand how can I do variations. And that's what this whole Yoga Basics series is about, of how can you find ways, if you go into a big class, to work. Let's come down. Bring yourself to seated. Hands right here. Open your palms out to the sides. Now, find that place. This is going to be a shortened version. We have on the channel a wrist and hand stretching that I would highly encourage you to use. If you find that this is really hard, you might be right here, or you might find that your fingers are curling. I'm actually pretty flat today, which is unusual. This hand typically has my fingers curling, which means I've been working on it and I'm doing pretty well. Right, so right here. This is a sign of what our forearms are. If you find in planks that you start to feel a lot of pressure, check this. It might be because your forearms are so tight that you can't get that movement into your wrist. So bring your hands together. Palms turning. And rotate. You just gain this little rotation. Notice I'm keeping my wrist flexed. Let's come back to center. You're just going to shake out your wrist. I do think that becomes one of the hardest parts for a lot of people in yoga, is that their wrists start to give out and then they dump into their shoulders, and next thing you know, you have issues in other places. Take your hand and just kind of gently press up and down your forearm. You might notice some tender spots. It could be beneficial for you to do this at the beginning of a yoga practice, like before you go into class, if you have a lot of wrist issues, or switching to the other side. You could do it kind of how we are at the end, after you've worked those muscles. Both have benefits. What I would more encourage you to do is on your own, try to just do this. Into a tall seated position, just kind of rotate your wrist. Our wrists get neglected in terms of our movement. Sit really tall, shut your eyes. These last moments, be really grateful to your body for everything it just gave you. For every moment of planks. And be willing to shift what you might assume about a plank into a different perspective. Till next time, guys, I'm Summer. Thank you so much